Namaste Nam. Welcome to another episode of Nashta with Nam. Today we have with us Himani Dalmia, who is a gentle sleep expert. She's an author and she's also co-founder of Gentle Sleep Community on Facebook. Today she's going to break all the myths about your baby and your sleep. This wonderful studio has been designed by Prerna Mohan, who is an interior designer and member of NAP. Himani, I wanted to ask you why sleep is such an underrated concept in India. We always bother about कि हम क्या wear कर रहे हैं, बच्चे what clothes are wearing, what we are eating, but we never talk about sleep. Why do you think this is the case?
Yeah, in fact, I would say that culturally there's almost a kind of premium put on someone who doesn't need a lot of sleep. It's like, oh, okay, I can, function on 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep. We almost wear it like a badge of honor. But I think a lot of the research is now showing us that this is actually not the case, and that sleep is very important. And just like there was a kind of wave of awareness around, say, nutrition post the 1980s and 1990s, and fitness, being physically fit and exercising and working out and all of that, I think now is the time for sleep. I think sleep is finally getting its day in the sun, where people are understanding that a lot goes on while we're sleeping. It's not simply a switched off mode. It's not like, we're just paused and on rest. The body is recovering, the brain is, flushing out unnecessary information and keeping what's important. Our organs are recovering. It's really important for our overall health, for longevity. And especially with regard to children, sleep is absolutely vital. And not only does it play a very important role in their brain development, their physical development, it also sets the foundation for sleep for a lifetime. So I think that now that we understand the importance of sleep, parents of today should give it that due even for their children. So especially when babies and young children, when they're sleeping, and actually even adolescents, but since we're focusing more on babies and young children today, growth happens during sleep. The growth hormone is secreted during sleep. Immunity develops during sleep, because cytokines, which are the proteins that are the building blocks of immunity, they're formed during sleep. The brain grows, neural connections are formed, short-term memory is converted into long-term memory, obesity is prevented, the heart is protected. So a lot of physical and mental growth actually happens during sleep. It's actually a supercharged state that our babies and young children are in.
That's very good to know. So Himani, what are the 2-3 myths that you can break for moms of young children? They should, like in general, that we hear, but that's not true.
Okay, so one is that a tired baby or a tired child will sleep better. वो कहते हैं कि उनको थका दो, जगा के रखो.
And previous generations specifically.
हाँ, जिसे थका दो, जगा के रखो, जितना थकेंगे उतना अच्छा सोएंगे, right? But actually what we know to be true is that overtired babies and young children don't sleep well. They have a certain capacity to stay awake, and the younger they are, the shorter that capacity is. So for a 6-month-old, it's as little as 2 hours. 4-month-old, 1 hour. A 2-year-old can last 4 to 5 hours or maybe 6 hours in certain situations. And if they're awake beyond that, their body produces a stress hormone, cortisol, which actually makes it very difficult for them to sleep well. And then, the cascade effect is that all those good benefits of sleep start deteriorating, right? Start reducing. So we need to be aware that, yes, they should be tired, well stimulated, have productive wake windows, but they do have a certain capacity, and that capacity is probably lower than you think. Because as a society, we're not actually very aware about this. We're conditioned to push them a little bit longer. And so if we educate ourselves on the wake window, the battery life, the capacity for every age, we can support them to have an age-appropriate routine, an early bedtime, If they're not overtired, they will wake less at night, they'll be less disturbed, their nap schedule will be better, and overall they'll be sleeping better. So that's the first. The second is that babies should not be supported too much when they're sleeping. So there's this idea कि independent करो, जितने जल्दी कर सकते हो.
Don't rock to sleep.
Yeah, don't feed to sleep, don't rock to sleep, don't hold them when they're sleeping, don't sleep with them, उनको अलग सुलाओ, you know, put them in a cot, put them in a different room later. But this actually goes against biology. So if you think about, you know, humans as a species, human babies have evolved to sleep very close to their parents. That's how primates sleep as well, right? Monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, and in fact most mammals, babies sleep close to their parents. Not only is there actually a developmental benefit, because our bodies, you know, with our smell, our heartbeat, our warmth, there's a hormonal exchange. Our babies actually grow and develop. We incubate them, even our young children. But they also have a sense of security. So human babies have a survival instinct that makes them wake up if they're not sleeping on a parent during the day, especially, or next to a parent. They're very vulnerable when they're sleeping. So they can't go into deep sleep. So we actually need to give them that physical proximity and support. Secondly, they can't put themselves to sleep. So there's this kind of, you know, very trendy self-soothing, self-settling, which is a myth that needs to be debunked. They can't self-soothe or self-settle. They don't have the part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, that is required for that. So they need us to regulate their nervous systems for them. So suckling, whether it's breast or bottle, helps to release sleep hormones, slow the heart rate, and actually induce sleep. Similarly, when we rock them, that's a vestibular input that is going in that regulates their nervous system and triggers sleep. So until the age of about 3.5 to 4 years, they actually can't induce sleep on their own, nor can they sleep very independently, and they need proximity from us. So we need to support their sleep, and that is how they actually over time develop good sleeping habits, because it gets ingrained in them. And young children, even up till the pre-teens, can need to sleep with their parents, and that's absolutely fine and normal. It's biologically normal. It's even culturally normal in most of the world, except for certain, you know, pockets of the industrialized Anglo-Saxon world, let's say, due to certain socio-economic reasons. So that's the second. The third is that you should not create a special environment for your child to sleep in, right? There's this belief कि मेरा बच्चा कहीं भी सो जाए. Okay, my child should be able to sleep, you know, in the living room when I'm traveling.
When you're traveling.
Yeah, when you're traveling, you know, if I'm out at a restaurant, my child should be able to fall asleep. And you know, we've all kind of grown up with that. I also had that thought when I first became a mom. But actually, children can't sleep like that. They are not able to tune out stimulation. So I often say, you know, the world is so full of stimulation for babies and young children. It's like asking us to fall asleep in a movie theater, right? Or, you know, how we all struggle to sleep on a flight when there's a lot of noise and sound and, you know, people coming with food and all of that. It's so difficult. We need to actually put on an eye mask and maybe even sound cancelling buds and focus and get ourselves to fall asleep. For a baby or young child, the world is like that. Even a shadow on the wall, being able to see the window, being able to see our face, it's all amazing stimulation that their sponge-like brains are actually seeking and taking in. So in order for them to switch off and be able to fall asleep again at that early stage of tiredness and be able to sleep long enough, they need us to remove stimulation for them. So they need a pitch dark and quiet room to be able to sleep in. Those children that we do see sleeping here and there are usually grossly overtired. So a child who needs, say, 14 or 15 hours of sleep in the day might be total sleeping 10 to 11 hours, and so they're so exhausted that they fall asleep here or there, but that is not healthy sleep.
Himani, so as mompreneurs, we're always exhausted and sleep deprived ourselves. So I think, can you give 2-3 practical tips that we can incorporate for our young children and ourselves as well to have that balance in a life where sleep is also getting adequate attention?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just the mindset and us understanding that sleep is very important. And you know, I have to admit, even me myself, I say the irony is that I'm trying to get the whole world to sleep, but I am not sleeping, right? Because between like managing my work and you know, some new studying I'm doing, and my own children, you know, the thing that takes a hit is sleep. Even though I tell myself I shouldn't be doing this and I should be sleeping, but it just kind of happens very organically. So I think first is just that mindset and knowing that if we sleep well, we're actually going to be more productive and we're going to get more done in less amount of time. And knowing that food, exercise and sleep all work together. So even our workouts will be more effective if we've slept well. If we're trying to eat clean and eat healthy, our body will respond better if we've slept well. If we're trying to accomplish a certain number of tasks in the day, we will do it faster and better if we've slept well. So I think that mindset change is very important. And then we will start making small changes, like maybe not having a coffee very late in the day if it's going to affect the quality of our sleep at night, right? Maybe not scrolling on our phones just before sleeping. So one change I've made is because, you know, I got used to sleeping in a pitch dark room with my children, so I couldn't read before bed anymore. So now I listen to podcasts like this one or audiobooks before falling asleep, because that way I'm not looking at a screen. I think the other thing that mums should do is identify whether you're a morning person or a night person. See, again, there is this thing that you should wake up early, and that is the sign of a productive, healthy person, right?
Everybody says that.
In fact, I saw a meme just yesterday saying becoming a parent turns you into a morning person, just like getting chased like a bear turns you into a runner, right? So you don't have a choice in the matter. You just have to become a morning person. But the thing is, we need to realize that there are actually biologically two chronotypes, which is you can be a slightly more late night person, a night owl, or you could be a more morning person, which we call a morning lark, right? And identifying that and supporting yourself to sleep according to those timings will lead to better sleep, right? So for example, my husband is much more of a morning person than I am, right? And he in fact needs to go to bed earlier. So although we'll spend our evenings together and have dinner, watch something and all of that, he tends to crash out and go to sleep earlier. I have another hour where I may potter about, do some things, you know, listen to my podcast, etc. And then I will go to sleep. In the morning, he takes the lead, right? So he will take over for an hour while I may sleep an hour extra, right? I know mums who go to bed at 8 or 9 p.m. soon after their children because they're morning people, they're not night people, right? I know mums who will hand over to their partner or let's say to grandparents in the morning so that they can sleep an hour or two later. That is not the sign of being lazy or incompetent, you know, that is respecting your body's cycle. You're being competent and efficient a little later into the night and you're allowing your body to rest a little bit in the morning. So I think just identifying that and respecting your body cycle can make a huge difference as to when to put in that effort.
It totally makes sense now that you've said this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we always not prioritize ourselves, our sleep as mompreneurs. Himani, I also wanted to know from you that you've been a very big advocate of community building. You run a huge community of gentle sleep parenting group also. So what do you think, why community is important and how mom entrepreneurs can make best use of these communities that are around?
Yeah, I think there are so many ways. So, you know, my friend Neha Bhatt and I co-founded the Facebook group Gentle Baby Sleep India almost 10 years ago now. And it was a very active community. That was the era of Facebook groups, you know, there was like hardly any Instagram, and that was really where all the action was, all the parenting action anyway. And it's still a very active group. It has 60,000 members and it's been, you know, and it's been run always by a very passionate group of admins. So that's also completely voluntary because it's a peer-to-peer non-commercial support group. So the admins have also given their time very voluntarily. So I think there is that smaller community of admins, let's say over time 30 or 40 moms who have worked together at different stages to build this group, and then the larger community of 60,000 parents, right? So firstly, I think those admins were my village. When I was a young mother, you know, with babies, I mean, and toddlers, yes. I think being able to talk to my my co-founder Neha, and those admins was really my lifeline. I could talk to them about anything parenting related or anything life related for that matter, right? Because you are in touch with your older friends, but it's different. It's a completely different thing versus being in the trenches of early parenthood with like-minded parents. And then there was the larger community where we felt that we had created a safe space where parents, both mothers and fathers, could talk about a very deep pain point, which is sleep, which doesn't exist everywhere else. So it was a safe space where we had a very clear ethos. I think that's important as well. I think communities that exist need to have a clear ethos and philosophy that they stand by, because there are so many things in the world, right? And they need to be well moderated and well mediated, well organized communities. Those are the ones that thrive. So it was wonderful because not only did we, as a group of admins, there were more hands on deck to just handle the work, because at the end of the day, this is volunteer work, right? There were diverse perspectives, so people could contribute different ideas that others may not have thought of. And there was the emotional connect that was driving the entire project. And even today, we see so many parents joining the group, participating in the group, who say, I feel so seen, I feel so heard, nobody understood me outside this group, right? So I think communities have a wonderful way of making you feel like you belong, and you feel seen.
Is also very lonely.
Yeah.
So you just have your tribe with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need that. And more, you don't have that village anymore. It takes a village to raise a child, and that it's not just, the village isn't just for the child, it's for the parents as well, right? And especially for the mother. And since we don't have that anymore, we have to create those villages in slightly more creative ways.
Yes,
right?
Sounds good. We have a fun rapid fire round for you, and
nice.
Oli is going to...
Let's have a fun rapid fire, Himani. I'm going to ask you some questions. You have to answer them with the first thought that comes on mind. So as a new mom, what was like a sleep sin that you committed?
Staying awake at night, scrolling on my phone when I should have been sleeping with my baby.
We've all done that. We've all done that. What's your go-to guilty pleasure when your kids are asleep?
Hot chocolate fudge sundaes.
Oh wow, that sounds yum. Yeah. And finally, one word your friends would use to describe you.
Ethical.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Himani, for coming on the show. It was lovely having this eye-opening conversation with you, and this is a small gift sponsored by Adhyay Travel for you.
Thank you.
It's a wellness kit for your travels. I hope you enjoy using it.
No, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. We've been, mothers together, and it's really wonderful to see so many moms on these incredible journeys.
Together in our Playdates community.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was such a great community that started out, Playdates, and I've seen that continue and also an offshoot evolve with the mompreneur community, and it's really amazing to watch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please subscribe for more such videos, and if you like to see an episode on a particular topic, please do comment.